The first thing is to reduce the amount of information that you're exposed to. Where does information come to us? Through what? Phones. Best thing you can do is keep your phone out your bedroom. Definitely don't have your phone like this, your iPad, because the light from these devices, they also reduce the amount of melatonin, which is the hormone that makes us feel sleepy. But now we've got some of the iPhone settings, for instance, have got the red light infrared thing that you can put on that stops the blue light that reduces the melatonin. It's not just that, it's the information we're exposed to. Because it tells your brain to stay wired and on. And even if you're just on social media, like Facebook, you can still see something that might upset you or trigger the stress response. I don't know what that might be. I'm talking about Hurricane Dorian. Didn't see any of those. They're upsetting. So info, try and reduce the amount of information that you're exposed to. If you can switch your phone off and put it on flight mode and not look at it for half an hour or an hour before you go to sleep at night, can be life-changing. And if you're sitting there thinking, what am I going to do for half an hour or an hour? I can give you lots of ideas. You can read, start a hobby, spend time with pets, spend time with the person that you're spending time with, write letters, journal, pack your lunch, snacks for the next day, watch some easy, there's loads you can do. Build a puzzle, do mosaicing. I'm giving my secrets away. The next thing, sadly, for me, be very careful about how much alcohol you drink. It takes 1 unit of alcohol to negatively impact your sleep. And a unit is a small glass of wine. It's not even a large. So if you struggle to sleep, try maybe not have alcohol for maybe 4 nights, Monday to Thursday, and see if you sleep better on those nights. And then if you choose not to stop drinking alcohol, you then know, well, when I drink alcohol, it might impact my sleep. The next one is to reduce the amount of light that you're exposed to, at least 1 hour before you go to bed. We are the only species on the planet that purposefully deprive ourselves of sleep. Most animals and other creatures out there, when it gets dark, they start to switch off. And artificial light is quite a new thing. I mean, my parents in their generation, in the countryside in France, I mean, let alone electricity, they didn't have toilets until my dad was about 17. So, and that was just a generation ago. When it was dark, it was dark. What do we use for lights? We use candles and lanterns and soft lights that are more orange. Our lights at home tend to be quite bright. So one of the best things you can do is switch off the main lights and rather put bedside lamps on, or candles, or softer lights. Some people who have very severe sleep deprivation even wear special glasses an hour before they go to bed, because it tells the brain it's dark, you can start relaxing. I'm quite happy now that the nights are not as long, because I find that quite hard in summer, to feel sleepy when the sun is out. If you would like more information on sleep, there's a TED Talk. All you need to do is type in sleep superpower. Can you remember that? Sleep is your superpower. And you'll meet a guy called Matthew Walker. Brilliant neuroscientist. And he's done a great talk about sleep. This is the book I mentioned by Giles. I'm actually going to his book launch on Wednesday. His book is one of the best I've read, and you can see it's very short and small, so it's a quick read. And he gives you ideas on how to increase the quantity of your sleep. He talks about book ending, your start of your day and the end of your day, and how to increase the quality of your sleep, which is what we've just taken a look at. Less light for an hour before you go to bed, less information for an hour when you go to bed, and be careful of alcohol. And caffeine. Caffeine lasts for about 6 to 8 hours in our bodies. Some of us metabolize caffeine quickly. I don't. So I try not to have coffee after 2 in the afternoon. Another way that can help you get a good night's sleep is related to question 7. So somebody at the back asked me about question 7. We're going to go through the questions in a moment. Question 7 is about, do you have a gratitude or solitude practice? So during your day, do you give yourself permission to rest? Even if it is for 1 minute. So if you stop for 1 minute before you have lunch and just allow yourself to go inward, take a few deep breaths, that's a way of telling your brain and your ego that you can rest. The more you do that, the easier it is when you do get to bed at night to allow yourself to feel that you can relax. Because a lot of us, I know that if you're working here, you're a high performer. So you switch on and you switch up all day, and then when it gets to 10 or 11 p.m. at night, many of us struggle to then just switch off. And one way to help us do that is to have moments in the day where we bring in a bit of stillness. So that can be either meditation, which as we saw with the video earlier on, can be as simple as taking a few deep breaths. Some of us can use prayer. You can maybe spend time in nature on your own, even just 5 minutes, but without your phone, without Facebook. Maybe journaling. There's a lot of research now. Sean Acor is a guy who's written about if you write down what you're grateful for every day, even if it just takes you 3 minutes, it boosts oxytocin and helps you feel less stressed.
Oh, a toilet. The resting.
It's a good question. Actually, I've never been asked that before. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to say no. Do you know why? Because you have to be on the toilet. When you
Yeah, but some people are spending half an hour in there. Not me. I know a couple of them.
I think it's the act of actually saying, look, I could be doing 10 other things, but I'm choosing right now for 3 minutes to sit quietly. That's what's quite powerful. I mean, if you sit there for an extra 3 minutes because of that, great. Is anybody using technology? Because technology can help you. If you're interested in this mindfulness meditation, I would recommend that you start with an app called Headspace. Headspace is great. And then perhaps you can try these two. I will share these slides with Heather, by the way, so that if you'd like to reference them, you can. We're moving on to the last point of the world data, which is around purposeful exercise. So not just what you're doing in your day-to-day while you're here at work, but are you doing intentional physical exercise? So that should be about half an hour on most days of the week. And ideally, your exercise should be a range of cardio exercise, weight bearing, and flexibility. Who does cardio exercise, and what is your favorite cardio exercise? Mine is running. So I do about 5Ks, three times a week. So it's great. Dancing. Dancing, fabulous. Anyone dance salsa? Yes. Ah, me too. Cool. Others? Cycling?
Fishing.
Oh, the fish! Fishing is good mindfulness exercise and connecting with nature.
Is that hard work?
Actually, you're right, yes.
Well,
so you clearly catch fish.
Yeah, when you go to the sea, of course, you keep your balance on the sea. Then, when you find your fish.
How often are you fishing, though?
Twice a year.
What is weight-bearing exercise? And anybody who's, I can say this because I'm 42 tomorrow, so who's over 40? Okay. When you hit 40, there are very real things that start to shift. One of the things is that your body starts to lose lean muscle. The only way to keep the muscle and keep your appetite, or be able to eat what you used to eat in your 30s after your 40s, is to do weight-bearing exercise. What is that? It's going to the gym and actually lifting weights. But it's also using your body as a weight. So does anybody do CrossFit? That's things like push-ups, great way. So push-ups and burpees and things, you can use your body as a weight. You can use those stretch bands, which are quite easy. Swimming is a form of weight-bearing exercise because you're pressing against the water. What about flexibility and stretching? Why is that important? Because it helps your joints. So I know a lot of people who are runners and cyclists and swimmers, but they can't comfortably touch their toes or stretch. And so what are examples of flexibility? Does anybody do yoga? Great. Yoga Pilates, great. It can also be very quick. I do 5 to 7 minutes of stretching when I wake up in the morning. And what I've used to do that as a guide is, and I'll send you a link when I send the follow-up. It's called the morning rejuvenation routine. I met an engineer 3 years ago who's the fittest guy I know, and I saw him spinning on the grass in the morning at the conference, and I'm like, Mark, what are you doing on the grass? He goes, oh, I do the 5 Tibetan rites. It's 5 exercises, takes me 5 to 7 minutes. So I started doing it then. That was like 2016, October, and I do them most days. So you start off with a spin, then there's an abdominal exercise. This is called the reverse camel, reverse table. I couldn't do one of these, and now I can do 21 without stopping. And I'm not bragging, I'm just showing how after you do something consistently, you build strength. And then that's the downward dog and salute the sun. Who has dogs and cats at home? Dogs and cats do this all the time. They get off the couch, stretch,
yeah, normally in the bay.
Yeah, very good exercise to do. And why I like this is it literally takes me 7 minutes. And I can do it in my living room or next to the hotel bed. I don't need to go anywhere. So if you're not into the idea of joining a yoga class or doing Pilates, but you kind of think, maybe I should be stretching a bit, first thing in the morning, do this with some conscious breathing before you look at your phone, hydrate with a pint of water, wow, you're good to go. It's a good way to start your day. And I'll include a link to where you can see what these exercises are. And this is why exercise is important. Finding the
Hi,
time.
Dr. Mike Evans, and welcome to this visual lecture I'm calling 23.5 hours. So what makes the biggest difference to your health? So I did my research, and I found an answer, at least for me, and it's tricky because, you know, all these things are sort of overlapping. But I picked out this intervention and because of its breadth. It worked for so many different health problems, and that's what I found so cool about it. So just to kind of walk you through a quick list. So this intervention in patients with knee arthritis who receive 1 hour of treatment 3 times a week reduced their rates of pain and disability by 47%. In older patients, it reduced progression to dementia and Alzheimer's by around 50%. For patients at high risk of diabetes and coupled with other lifestyle interventions, it reduced progression to frank diabetes by 58%. Postmenopausal woman who had 4 hours a week of the treatment had a 41% reduction in the risk of hip fracture. It reduced anxiety by 48% in a big meta-analysis. Patients suffering from depression, 30% were relieved with low dose, and that bumped to 47% as we increased the dose. Following over 10,000 Harvard alumni for over 12 years, those that had the intervention had a 23% lower risk of death than those who didn't get the treatment. It's the #1 treatment of fatigue, and of course the kind of outcome of choice, or my favorite outcome, is quality of life, which is really all of the above and really about making your life better. And this treatment has been shown over and over again to improve quality of life. So the question is, what's the medicine, and what is 23.5 hours? So the medicine was exercise, mostly walking, so not triathlons. And let me just put it a different way. I think what he said, walking is man's best medicine. And so I'm going to finish by asking you a question. And this may have some personal challenges for you. So, you know, you might be very busy with work or kids or both, and or you may be in pain or have other priorities. But my question to you is, can you limit your sitting and sleeping to just 23.5 hours a day? So something to think about.
Can you limit your sitting and sleeping to just 23.5 hours a day? And then have a variety of cardio and stretching and some weight-bearing exercise. And it seems like there's great support for couch to 5K. If you're not used to really running that distance, that's a great place to start. Or just walking it briskly. Yeah. So we have been through the Calculator. I'm going to ask you to stand if you'd like to, and then sit back down with your card at hand and a pen. And then Stephen, the two of you, have you got the questionnaires that we emailed and attached? Okay. And I'll pop the light on. Excellent. Have you got your card? Yes, good. Okay, everyone got a phone? Fabulous. Now, we're going to score ourselves. How you score yourself? If you answer yes, you give yourself 1 point or half. Some of the questions are double-barreled. I'll guide you. And if it's no, then it's 0. No point. That easy. There's no right or wrong. We're just being as objective as possible. And to answer yes, you need to say, I do that 80% of the time. So it doesn't have to be all the time, but it definitely has to be 5 days out of 7. So the first thing we looked at is, do you strategically refuel to sustain your energy and good health? So do you have a strategy? Do you plan to eat in such a way that you can manage your energy and manage your blood glucose? For me, that means eating light and eating often. If you have another strategy and it works for you, great. Yes, 1 point, 0 if not. Then the next thing we looked at is, do you eat like an artist and support good gut health? So to eat like an artist, you should have a minimum of 5 tennis ball portions or stress ball portions of fruits and vegetables most days of the week. Minimum of 5. Then you're eating like an artist. So is that yes, 1 point, and if it's no, no point. Then the next one is half and half. For half a point, would you say that you practice mindful eating? Mindful eating means you chew properly, and ideally most meals take 15 minutes for you to eat, or longer, and you eat when you're not distracted. So you're not watching TV or answering emails or doing a bunch of other stuff. Just stop it. That's half if you answer yes. The other half is, do you balance your portion sizes? So are you eating the right amount of calories for your body? If you want to lose weight, you're probably consuming more calories than you need. Then we looked at, for half a point, do you hydrate enough? How much is enough? 1 glass for every 10 kilograms you weigh. So if you have that amount of water, that might be 6 glasses or 8 or 12, yes. Then rethink your other drinks. I'm going to focus on, let's focus on caffeine here. So do you have less than 3 cups of coffee a day? 3. Okay. That's half. Everyone with me? We're on number 5. Oh, number 5, for half a point, do you know your health numbers? So once a year, you should at least have an idea of what your cholesterol, your blood pressure, and your blood glucose is. Yes? And then do you not smoke? So are you a non-smoker? Number 6 is either 1 or 0. Do you get enough sleep to feel rested and well? So on most days of the week, are you waking up and you feel rested and well? Do you get enough sleep? You will know that better than I do. It might be because you have 7 hours of sleep, it might be because you have less or more, but you feel rested well. Number 7, do you have a daily mindfulness practice? This can be 1 minute long, it doesn't have to be half an hour long, but some kind of practice where you meditate, you spend time in nature on your own, you journal, you express gratitude, all the woo-woo stuff. But now there's science to back up that it works because it helps the brain. Because the brain is neuroplastic and it changes by what we think and feel.
So is that a 0 or a 1?
Yes, a 0 or 1. If you're interested in that, or you, Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, anybody heard of him? Okay, I'll send some notes about him. He's got some great stuff and very practical meditations. Number 8, how do you move during your work day? So are you moving around? So especially for those of you that are sitting, do you get up at least every 45 minutes or an hour and do you stretch? Those of you that are moving around a lot, are you conscious of how you move? So are you avoiding like back issues or neck issues or breathing while you're walking? So this is all about how you're moving your body during the day. And that includes breathing. Because most of us breathe, but we don't breathe effectively, so we don't get all the oxygen that our body needs. And number 9, for yes or no, is, are you doing enough intentional exercise? So enough is half an hour on most days of the week. So that means 1 hour every second day, or maybe 2 or 3 hours if you're only exercising on a weekend. But ideally your exercise should be a mixture of cardio, weight bearing, and flexibility. So maybe it's 5 minutes of 5 Tibetans in the morning, you stretch. Maybe it's a 10 or 15 minute walk at lunchtime, and maybe it's a bit of push-ups and sit-ups at night before you go to bed. There we go, like without paying a gym membership or going anywhere, you can get your exercise in. The last one is the one that we started with. Do you know how your body responds to stress? Are you aware of things like your shoulders clenching, your stomach, cravings, headache, tight jaw? And are you able to manage stress without feeling overwhelmed? Generally, that means that you've got techniques, like the breathing. That can be one of the tools. Would you please add up your scores so you get a score out of 10 What do you think the average score on the Welculator normally is? What has it been this year? Yes. You can also take the rest of the day off. 4.
It doesn't work anyway.
4. So by show of hands, who has a score of 4 or less? And a score of 5 to 7. 5, 6, or 7. Okay. A score of 8 or more. 7.5. Okay.
Chris got 35.
I like the way Chris thinks. He's very abundant. Would you agree, regardless of what your score is, your score could be 7.5. It might even be 0. Stu, did you get your scores? 4 and 0. So whether your score is 0, 4. We know that change is not easy. We also know that this is not rocket science, right? A lot of what I've shared with you, you know. You just might not know the finer details. So what we know is not what we do. Common knowledge is not always common practice. And change around food and health is not easy. Take a look at this doctor speaking to his patients. The best thing you can do is give up smoking, drinking, and fried food. And what's the response? What's the second best? So this ties in with the fact that the way that we eat, the way that we show up, the way that we decide to exercise or not is deeply ingrained. And it starts from when we were young. And it's all about mindset. And so I'm deeply interested in how do we get people to change. And so there's 2 people that I follow. Professor B.J. Fogg from Stanford, who writes about tiny habits. And then James Clear, who's the author of Atomic Habits. And both of them say the same thing. If you want to start a new behavior, you need to make it as easy as possible, as tiny as possible. 1 press up as opposed to 20, for instance. Or if you don't drink water, don't say I'm going to have 8 glasses of water a day. You say I'm going to have a glass of water when I brush my teeth. Or maybe I'm going to have a glass of water whenever I have a coffee. So can you see what I've done there? Is I've made it easy, simple, and tiny. What have I also done? By saying when I brush my teeth or when I have coffee. I've linked it to a trigger, something that you already do. That's incredibly powerful. So if you want to create a new habit, you want to choose something that you're motivated to do. So if you look at the Welculator, if the idea of eating fruits and vegetables does not make you excited, don't do that just because I said it's a good idea. Choose something that you feel, actually I could do that. And it would be quite easy for me to do quite quickly. Then you make it as easy as possible by making it teeny tiny, and then try and make it obvious by adding it to a trigger. So I'm going to give you an opportunity now, before you chat to anybody, to look down at the Welculator and maybe pick out 1 or 2 things that you feel motivated to commit to doing, and then think about how could you make it super easy, and can you add it or link it to something that you already do. You already eat, you already drink, you go home and put your key in the front door, you drive, you sit at your laptop. There's lots of things that we already do. We go to the toilet. So could you start meditating there for a minute? It's a great idea, or a trigger. So just give that some thought. And then share what your one idea is with the person next to you, but you've got to listen to what they say. Because if you feel that it could be smaller and tinier, please challenge them. 30 seconds each. Then allow them to respond to you about what is their tiny habit. And challenge them back if you feel like it's too big. One person from the room who would like to share what their tiny habit is. Anyone?
A glass of water and a coffee.
Secret.
Glass of water with coffee.
Yeah, I'll go with that, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, anyone from this room that's different to the water?
Have lunch.
Have lunch.
Time. So we're saying go for a walk.
Okay, those are two things.
Walk to lunch.
Walk, then I'm going to go with that one.
Walk to lunch, I like that too. Can you see a replicate? I know that these cards can sometimes become shelf development, space of development. So this is your opportunity to play a bit. You've got a black marker and a stress ball. Visually draw a picture or an icon or a word. It's going to remind you of your tiny habits. And hopefully you're going to hold on to this longer than you hold on to the card. So just, if it's water with coffee, I don't know, maybe it's like a glass of water, H2O with a cup of coffee. Whatever your... Great. So just something that will remind you. Because right now, you're excited, and you think you're going to remember. But by Friday afternoon, if anybody has a dry marker pen, leave it on the floor, please. Don't give them back to me. Perhaps you can certainly write down on the card what is the one thing. It's very powerful when you actually write something. What is it? Okay. The last video, I love the conversations that spur from it. Hold up your stress balls. Nice. Okay. Maybe when you walk around later and you see each other's stress balls, if you're not clear on what it means, ask. And this is the one thing you take from today. Knowing that this one thing can help you significantly change your future. The last video I'm going to show you is of a young man who's not having a good day. What we know though is that just changing one or two things that lead to other changes over time can significantly change his future. And no matter where you are, at the age of 32 or 34, or like my mother, close to her 70s, by simply taking a probiotic and eating more color, she significantly changed the outcome of her health.
All right, what do we got?
Just came in, heart attack. 5'9", 300 pounds, 32 years old.
How the hell does that happen?
Can I get a,
Could be developing diabetes. X-ray exchange.
You're graduating. You watch TV, you will not leave.
You can't do this.
Yes, Trinidad.
no, I need to.
You have to make a change. Good job, Jim. You got an A+.
There your prize, sweetie.
I still can't believe you give this child such shots.
I know, but it's the only thing that'll make him stop.
Very strong reason why. It's why I do this work. Because too many of us have that kind of outcome when we could shift it by small changes. And it starts by setting yourself up for success. The one small thing that you have on your ball, if you create a new habit around that, it could potentially lead to 2 to 3 to 4 things. And maybe like my mother close to 70, or like my brother in his late 30s, you may end up losing a bit of weight, having a healthier system, and feeling better. But we need help along the way. So you're being here collectively together. It's great if you buddy up and hold each other accountable. You have the opportunity to hear from me. On a Wednesday, I send out a Wellculator tip, which is based on the Wellculator, and on a Friday, the Friday foodie recipe. You will then also see, I think we're going to call it Celine's Corner. Yes, we feel kind of famous. Never had that. Where we'll write about topics, and I've got an idea of what to write. But how about you let Heather know if there's something really from today that you want to know more about? Sleep, stress, exercise, and then I'll include that. And thank you for your attention and energy. I couldn't ask for more.